You ever F up? I sure have. Constantly. Story 1. Today I effed up by jumping into a lake in my brawn panties to save a man that turned out to be an elite military scuba diver in training. I'm couch surfing with my sister and her boyfriend. I work for him at the lakeside bar trying to pay for college. My state is open, and while I'm not thrilled, I need both the job and my scored sofa accommodations to make it work. To give them their space and myself a break from the doom scrolling, I take a run by the lake in the mornings. This lake is bomb butt and draws scuba divers to the flooded town at the bottom. Today I was in my own head running when a dark mass floated to the surface 40 feet away. I was on the craggy side of the lake and this dude looked dead, D-E-A-D. Facing away from me, his head was tipped back, eyes closed, bobbing like a fishing lure. No one else was around, so I thought he was quantum crazy out here scuba diving alone at the crack butt of dawn, giving himself the bends or some nonsense. Like a jackbutt, I didn't yell at him to check in. Instead, I towed off my shoes and stripped to my skivvies to save the imbecile. The movie trailer in my head had me taking 3 glorious steps and launching into the deep blue water, Black Widow style. Instead, my tender feet hit the sharp rocks and I contorted under the pain like a slinky as I uncoordinatedly pitched myself into the water doing a side flop. I was also wearing my contacts, so I swam hard in his direction with my eyes closed. When I opened them, he was dead butt staring at me like I'd lost my ever-loving mind, so I blurted, "Are you okay?" He removed the regulator and incredulously said, "Yes?" My brain blue-screened while I tread water. The lake felt infinitely deep. Before I could terrify myself by hearing the Jaws theme song, I turned to nope the hell out of there, yelling over my shoulder, "I thought you needed saving," to explain my idiocy. As I pivoted, another dude cleared his throat from 30 feet away on the other side. I never heard a sound from him, so I freaked out, flailing and belting an ear-wounding scream at him. Both butt hats laughed as a few more heads surfaced around us. I was surrounded by divers, all wildly entertained by my ridiculous high-octane F-up. After pointing to me and the beach, the merman that was my original target cautiously swam toward me after I nodded and escorted me to the shore. The beach was much further than I had anticipated, so I was trying to low-key breathe, hiding my need to suck all of the O2 from the air. Also, the comedy of the situation consumed me, and I started to giggle. Finally, I joked, "Dude, you are lucky you weren't actually dying because it would have taken everything I had to drag your sorry butt this far." He chuckled before offering me a tow. Hell no, not gonna happen. Even if I had to doggy paddle, I wouldn't openly accept that defeat. He quietly mocked me the rest of the way to shore. I'm a secret sap for it. They were cadets or recruits graduates from a military college here for the summer. They've been training in pools and were doing some open water exercises. They've been out there at least part of the night, and I'm sure I blew up whatever drill they were running. He's training for pre-dive school, and since I'm an expert Googler, I'm guessing that means combat diving. At the shore, I did my best to throw my shoulders back and march out of the water in my sports bra and undies in front of what I can only imagine are some pretty bad butt men. I did invite him and his clandestine crew for an absolutely overpriced beer at the bar tonight before shame jogging back into the woods for my clothes. Too long didn't read. I tried to save an injured diver, ended up crashing some kind of military training. So yeah, you definitely effed up. But at least you effed up doing something good and positive. And now you know next time, call out beforehand like, "Hey, are you okay?" Something like that. And then if he hadn't responded, I think you would have been absolutely justified and wouldn't have to feel embarrassed at all. As it stands, you might have to feel a little bit embarrassed, but like I said, it was all for a good reason. You were trying to save somebody, Maybe next time just, leave your clothes on and just, toss your phone out of your pocket or something. That might tone down the embarrassment just a little bit. Or if you're smart, and that happens, just lie and be like, "Yeah, I know there was a drill going on, and I want to be part of the crew. I'm here to prove my stuff. Look how quick I got in here. You guys hiring?" Huh? Pretty great, huh? I'm gonna go. Yeah, maybe that one wouldn't work too well. Story 2. A woman let her dog crap on the airport floor, so I crapped on her plans. While walking to my gate at LAX, I noticed a woman whose dog was in the middle of doing its business. The woman was loudly FaceTiming with her back to the dog, so I assumed she didn't notice. That was likely the thought shared by the gentleman who tried to get her attention. Excuse me, miss, he said in a polite tone. The woman glared at him. Your dog? He sheepishly continued, pointing to the mid-poop pup. The woman rolled her eyes and went back to FaceTime as the man slinked away, seemingly embarrassed. Some people, she bellowed to her FaceTime companion with no hint of irony, are just so damned rude. When her dog finished, the woman started walking away, leaving everything right on the airport floor. Another woman tried to stop her. You're not going to clean that up? She asked, as shocked as the rest of us were. They have people for that, the offender replied, disappearing into the crowd as much as someone yelling into their phone can disappear into a crowd. I stood near the pile and warned people to walk around it while someone else got a maintenance worker's attention. No one said anything. We were so shocked that anyone could be that horrible. When I got to my gate, the woman was there too. Great, we were both going to Tokyo. When I travel abroad, I get embarrassed by other Americans doing things 100 times less embarrassing than leaving animal feces on the floor of an airport. To make it worse, her dog was now barking at everyone who walked by. I have nothing against people who flying with their dogs. I do it often, but it is a privilege I take seriously. My dog is well trained and behaves better than most people. He certainly behaves better than that a-hole. Speaking of a-holes, there is a pet relief area inside LAX past security just 2 gates away from where the party pooper let her dog go to town. It didn't matter. She was the type of person to litter 3 feet from an empty garbage can. While her dog barked at the world, the woman had moved from FaceTiming with no headphones to listening to music with no headphones. I don't like to throw around the word sociopath, but I don't know how else I could explain just how selfish and terrible of a person she was. I bet her car was somewhere in long-term parking, parked across 3 spots with paint on the bumper from the child's bike she hit without leaving a note. Everyone else tried to ignore her, sitting as far away from her as they could. I am not everyone else. I sat right down next to the horrible woman. Are you going to London on business? I said. I'm going to Tokyo, she responded gruffly, annoyed that I interrupted her DJing. Oh, I said. Oh, then you better hurry. That flight got moved to gate 35C. This is the flight to London. I figured I could give her a little moment of panic as payback for how terribly she was treating everyone. I didn't predict what would happen next. She grabbed her bags and her dog in a huff and stormed out of the gate without even checking. She was so self-involved, she didn't notice that the monitor at our gate still said Tokyo and almost everyone at the gate was Japanese. Based on her actions, she believed me that the flight had been moved, so she's also an a-hole for not thanking me. Some people, I thought as I watched her rush away from the gate without stopping her, are just so damned rude. The flight to Tokyo was at gate 69A, so the 53 gates were on the other side of the next terminal. And I felt guilty knowing she probably berated some poor clerk who had to explain to her that there was no gate 53C. I don't know if she made it back to this flight before we took off or not, but I didn't see her board and I didn't hear her dog. Her missing her flight was not my original intention, but it would be a fine punishment for her being so rude to everyone and making a low-paid stranger clean feces off the floor. What makes me wonder if I went too far is the knowledge that Delta only has 1 flight to Tokyo each day. Whoops. Maybe she can rebook on another airline. I hear they have people for that. Edit. For those who want to play internet detective and demanded to see my ticket, as if that proves anything, I'm a stand-up comedian with a show in LA last night and a show in Tokyo tonight. But if that's not enough for you, here's my ticket, and yes, Delta does allow dogs on flights to Japan. Edit 2. Rest in peace, inbox, in a ridiculous 1,000 messages way. Thanks to all the nice folks, especially the people who are coming to shows, etc. I'm trying to get to all your comments, but it may take me a few days. For those who are being Ds, I hope you wheel your suitcase into her dog crap. Nope. Anyone who's rude like that deserves what she gets. If she didn't even have the common sense to, like, check or ask, to heck with her. She, like, littering is bad enough. Letting your dog poop indoors and then being like, they have people to take care of that? No, you're a pretty bad person. You are so thoughtless to other people. Like, even for stuff in stores where it's like you leave stuff off a shelf or whatever, it's like, yeah, it's a person's job to go and face the shelf, but if you're right there, put it back right, you know? And yeah, dog poop does not belong there. Put it away correctly, clean it up. It's your dog. Don't be rude. And yeah, the FaceTime call in the open, like without a headset, fine. You got the call right away and it's like, oh crap, oh, I don't have time to get my headphones hooked up. Hey, how's it going? You know, sure, fine. But then listening to music like that in the open, in an area where people are all together, no. You're being such an a-hole, lady. I hope you did miss your flight to Tokyo, and I hope it just ruined your day, because you sure ruined someone else's. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for walking out of the airport when I saw my husband's mom standing there with her luggage? I, 30-year-old female, don't have the best relationship with my husband's mom. Since day one, she tried to make remarks and compare me to her. She then tried to get on my good side and started overly praising everything I do and sometimes even copying me, like that one time when she literally dyed her hair purple just like mine, and when everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she actually blamed me and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. So anyways, my husband and I took 2 weeks off of work to go visit some places out of the country. Tourism, in other words. Thing is, I was the one who saved up for and arranged for the trip. My husband was responsible for booking the tickets. My husband's mom wanted to come along and threw temper tantrums when I said no. She called, texted, sent people to talk me into letting her come, even threatened to call the police and make some complaint up to get us to stay if she can't come. My husband said we should just take her, but I told him he was wrong to tell her about the trip in the first place. He gave me an ultimatum, said he wouldn't go if she can't come, and I told him I'd gladly call his bluff, which made him take his words back and say, fine, I'll tell her to stop it because we won't take her. Things got quieter, suspiciously quieter. The day of the trip came and we got to the airport at 2 p.m. My husband was walking ahead of me and was looking left and right like he was looking for someone. I asked him, but he didn't respond. He led me to the waiting area, and the first thing I saw was his mom standing there with her luggage. I froze in my spot. I felt a cold wave washing over me and I was fuming inside. She and my husband were hugging. That's when I quietly turned around and started walking towards the exit. My husband followed me while shouting at me to stop. He tried to stop me, but I told him off in the harshest way possible. He tried to say I was overreacting and that his mom was there anyway and I should let it go and not mess up the trip for us. I told him he and his mom could still go and that I was going home. I went home and sobbed into my dog's fur for several minutes. Turned out he booked her a ticket without me knowing. An hour later, he came home yelling and raging about how pathetic and spiteful I was to walk out and go home and ruin the trip last minute. I told him he caused this to happen. He said that I was being so hard on his mom, it's ridiculous. I refused to fight anymore, but he kept on berating me, then called my family to tell them that the trip was canceled and that it was because of me. My family said that I shouldn't have ruined it for myself and should have sucked it up and done my best to enjoy it. Did I really overreact? You expressed to your husband that you wanted this to be a trip for the two of you. You made it clear to him that you did not want your mother-in-law there, which you have a right to do, especially on a vacation. Eventually, he relented and said, okay, I'll tell her to stop, and then lied to you, went behind your back, and booked her a ticket and just expected you to be okay with it because there was nothing that you could do. Did you overreact? No. I would say that in some ways you underreacted. I would say that your husband should be in the doghouse, as they say, or that you should have gone on the trip without them. Because you deserve a vacation and to have some fun. And your mother-in-law is way too pushy. I understand she wants to be in your life, and hey, it's great if, adults want their parents involved in their life a lot. I see my mom fairly frequently. My partner loves to hang out with her dad and everything, and her mom. Like, we're always getting together with them. But we have the right to want to have our own time apart, our own separate trips. You have every right to have wanted that, and your husband lied about it and basically tried to trick you into a trip with his mom. That isn't okay. And frankly, he is lucky that your reaction was not bigger, because you have every right for it to have been bigger. To heck with both of them. I hope you eventually get the vacation you deserve without your mother-in-law, and maybe without that husband.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.